Hi, I'm Alan Hills, and welcome to the College of St. Rose's movie review and discussion podcast series, Cutting to the Chase, brought to you by the campus radio club, Radio St. Rose. We are now entering Season 2 of this show, and it will probably be my last since I'll be graduating from St. Rose in the summer, but it will still be a fun, exciting, and timely season all the same. For this first episode, I wanted to discuss the new cinematic phenomenon, Aquaman, which just hit $1 billion at the box office and is still going strong and has become a big hit among moviegoers. And here to help me discuss it is my good friend, Takora McIntyre, who is a communications major here at St. Rose with a concentration in journalism. Takora, thank you again for coming on and wanting to discuss this film.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So, I know some fans and critics have been a little critical of Aquaman, but personally, I thought it was a pretty exciting movie. DC has had a few flops, aside from Wonder Woman, but I think Aquaman really continues that, Wonder Woman streak. I don't know how you feel about it, but I thought it was a pretty exciting movie. It had such an energy that really entertained me. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I thought the energy was amazing in the movie. It was super fun. I was in tune through the entire film. The characters did a good job, and I thought it was just a very upbeat movie.
Yeah, it was a very upbeat movie, and many of the DC movies haven't been very upbeat. I mean, they didn't have a good start a few years ago with Man of Steel. I think Henry Cavill I always forget how to pronounce his name, but he was a pretty good Superman, but that movie was still like a little too dark. And then Batman v Superman, forget about it. But yeah, Aquaman was really good, and especially the cast. And the one like little complaint I have about the movie is that I think I definitely felt like the script could have used some polishing in parts, because I felt like a few of the lines were a little generic, although the cast did a great job in making it work, because that's the actor's job, is to make bad dialogue work. But still, I felt like it could have used a little polishing there, but still, what do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I would say some of the lines were very cheesy and cliche.
Yeah.
And the little love story, I mean, I love the love story.
Right.
But at times, I felt like it was pushed a little bit too much.
Yeah, there's a lot of that these days, of being pushed a little too much. Yeah, the script just needed polishing. When you hear things like, the time has come for Atlantis to rise again. I think, they definitely could have used some polishing in parts. But yeah, I'm so impressed by the fact, this movie has hit $1 billion. That's a first for the DCEU. I don't know how Wonder Woman didn't hit that streak, but I'd say it's a pretty, impressive accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, compared to Wonder Woman, I would not have expected Aquaman to reach 1 billion. That's amazing. That's a lot. But I could see where people thought the movie was great, because it was just a fun movie where you can take your kids, or if you're a superhero fan like me, you can just go watch the movie. So anyone can see it and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anyone really can enjoy the film. And what I love most about it is that it totally brings something new to the world of film. I mean, we've seen underwater sequences in film, but we've never seen a movie where it's pretty much entirely about that. They really made the CGI work with that. They really made it glamorous, and it wasn't too disastrous, unlike most DCEU films. But even though it was a bit extreme, it was just so amazing to look at. There were so many parts where they fit in so many creatures and so many warriors. I just love seeing all those scenes. And whenever the scenes were on the land, there was these beautiful wide shots that focused on the beauty of the locales, and those were just pretty nice. I thought that variety was it was a really nice thing to look at. And I don't know why a lot of critics are deciding to be critical of the film. It's only got a 64 on Rotten Tomatoes. I definitely feel like it deserves.
That the other day.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it deserves a little better, because they did put so much effort into this film. And what's funny is the film didn't even complete post-production until October, 2 months before it was released.
Really?
Yeah, that shows how much effort they put into it. But yeah, wouldn't you agree though that they should be a little more open? I mean, it is a very positive accomplishment.
Yeah, no, 64%. I seen that on Rotten Tomatoes the other day, and I was like, there's no way that this movie was that bad. Because I loved every second of it. I mean, I just thought they did a good job of creating the seven seas in the water, they had the alien looking people, and I just thought that was the coolest thing, because it's you really don't know what's underwater. Yeah. And they kind of made up this thing that makes so much sense. So I think it should at least got an 80.
Yeah, an 80. Yeah, that would be great.
80's fine.
Yeah, that's such a good point you made there, because they made everything make sense, and what you just said really makes sense. They made it believable, and DC hasn't done a lot of that lately, except with Wonder Woman. But and I think Suicide Squad was definitely too realistic. I haven't seen the film. I don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen Suicide Squad?
I've seen Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I haven't, because that almost looked too bizarre for my taste. I almost thought they went overboard with that. But what do you think of that film? Give me some insight on that.
So Suicide Squad, it's a good movie. I mean, the thing that I liked about it is that you see the villains in a different light. So, you always are on the side of the superhero, but for Suicide Squad, you have no choice but to be on the side of the villain, because you follow them throughout the entire film. So that was very unique. A lot of action, a lot of violence. But overall, it was a decent film.
Well, yeah, I should definitely look into it in that case. I've seen every other DC film. Like I said, Man of Steel could have been better. Batman v Superman was like pretty much way too dark. Loved Wonder Woman. I remember seeing that in the theater. That was great. Justice League, I felt could have been a little better. It felt a little non-explanatory and choppy in my opinion.
I was very disappointed by Justice League. So I went to rewatch Justice League on HBO before I went to go see Aquaman.
Oh, nice.
And I just watched it, and I was like, I was expecting just so much more from the film.
I wanted some more backstory from the characters. You know, Marvel does origin films first before diving into an assemblage film like, you know, Justice League. So even though people may be critical of the film, I love the huge popularity that Jason Momoa is getting right now. I mean, when I saw that he was being cast as Aquaman, I was doubtful at first because the way he looks, you know, he's huge, you know, with the beard and everything. I didn't expect that he would work as Aquaman, but he is great. I don't know what do you have to say about him? I think he's a really great actor.
He played that role so well. So I am a fan of him because I watch Game of Thrones.
Nice.
But he just killed it in Aquaman. Like, he made it so believable that he could be the Aquaman. Yeah. And being the half human and half, what were they?
They call them Atlanteans.
Atlanteans, yeah. And he just, like, played the role so well, being the awkward one, the outcast, yet still being so strong and powerful.
Yeah.
So I think he did very well in that role.
Yeah, the rest of the cast was pretty good, too, even though some of his lines are bad. Patrick Wilson, you know, was a pretty decent villain. You know, Amber Heard was pretty good. And I love that they brought Nicole Kidman on board because, you know, you thought her character was... this podcast is going to be loaded with spoilers for all you listeners who haven't seen the movie yet, so turn this off if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I love how her character came back. I was somehow convinced that she was gone for some reason. I don't know, but her acting really fit for that character. I really would say it was really good. But yeah, I just enjoyed Aquaman immensely. But the thing is, when I went into the theater to see it, I expected to hate it. Like, I had to put all that aside to really like it. And it was so frustratingly good. I don't know, did you have those kind of expectations?
Yeah, no. So when I first seen the trailer, I was saying to myself, like, they're going to make this so cheesy, and I can just imagine it. Because you have Aquaman. You have so many opportunities to just make it like this comical kind of like, I don't know, like just super cheesy.
Yeah.
But going to see it, like, it was not what I expected, and I'm glad that I went to see it instead of just thinking to myself, like, oh, I don't want to go see Aquaman. Like, I took a chance and went to see it, and they did great. Yeah,
they did do great. And yes, when I saw the trailer for the first time as well, I thought it was going to be cheesy, but when I saw the movie in full, you know, I saw that, you know, the filmmakers, the producers, you know, and the director, James Wan, they somehow had the ability to make it work, and I was really impressed. What I really appreciate even more is that they brought along, you know, Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe's returning to the superhero genre. I thought his character was really good because... you know, when I was way back in 2002, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I was still primarily watching films for kids. But that 2002 was the year the first Spider-Man movie came out, which he was the villain in. And that movie, like, changed my world. So seeing Willem Dafoe return to the superhero film series was, like, super cool for me. I really liked that
Except
part
this time he was kind of like a good guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was a good guy.
Side.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe usually is a good guy. I know he's a great villain, but usually he is, you know, the guy you like. But yeah, I thought, going back to the point of the CGI, I was surprised how much they made it work, you know, because CGI in a lot of movies is often, you know, very convoluted. But, you know, this was one of those rare movies where, you know, it was kind of necessary, you know, to bring the underworld of Atlantis to life and to see how they could, you know, he could control all the creatures and everything. I don't know what you think, but I thought that was kind of necessary to bring that kind of world to life. It's almost like, you know, an Avatar situation, except that was on the land. But
exactly,
the CGI was, you know, pretty important to bring that world to life. Would you say that Aquaman is the best DC film? How would you rank it?
I don't know, because Wonder Woman just did so well that it's hard to compare with that.
Yeah.
Just because not only was it a strong female role, but everything just worked out, and she did an amazing job. But Aquaman, I would say it's close. I mean, what I really loved about Aquaman was the message.
Yeah.
And the big message that I took from the movie is about how there's life under the water, and sometimes the surface people, we're not aware of that. And sometimes our actions and the things that we do, like leave trash at the beach, they affect the things in the water, like the animals. And land people, our actions do affect the underwater world.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree, and that goes back to the point of how you were saying that they made the movie believable, like leaving your trash on the ocean was doing harm, and we
Yeah.
put all of our junk into the ocean too, and that was affecting the Atlanteans, and the Patrick Wilson, the villain, I forgot what his name was, the villain, the villain's argument in the movie, was almost right, even though it was bad what he was doing, trying to inflict violence on his own people, but that goes back to the whole realism argument, and I liked how they fit it in there. It was really entertaining to see all those new snippets where there's just piles of the pollution on the ocean. Like I was scared, like that could very possibly happen. Who knows what kind of crap is down there?
So true.
I hate so much that we do that, but still, yeah. Wouldn't you just like to know what's deep down in those oceans?
I always want to know. They say that you only know like what, maybe 10%.
Yeah.
Like I'm so curious. What is down there? Like I just want to know.
See, I just love the realism of Aquaman, and I'm definitely hopeful for a sequel, aren't you?
Oh yeah, there's definitely going to be a sequel, and I'm definitely going to see it.
What's interesting is that I read that Jason Momoa proposed a lot of his own ideas to Warner Brothers, and they were really excited about it. And the sad truth is that a lot of sequels, and by sequels I mean like number twos, they don't always work a lot. But I mean, but I think the fact that Jason Momoa is giving them some ideas, they're taking that as a sign that they got to get a little creative and that something a little different could work. What would you want to see in an Aquaman sequel?
See, I don't know. I want to see more of that love story just because I'm a sucker for love films. I want to see a little bit more what happens. He's the king now.
Yeah.
What's next? Are they going to have children? What's going to be the next disaster?
Yeah.
Do the land people and the people of Atlantis, do they come together? I just want to know what happens next. But I feel like they have to be careful and not overdo it because a lot of times that's what happens in sequels.
Yeah, no, they tend to overdo it in sequels. I have seen good sequels, number twos. I have seen good sequels, but there is a potential for them to, mess up. I definitely think that, the brother should side with him. He should give him a chance. Don't make him bad again.
Do not.
Yeah, that would be really great. But and they could cast some more big actors, to be in the film. Maybe they could include some select Justice League members, but then again, that would be problematic because I don't know what kind of abilities they have underwater.
That's true.
Aside from Batman, he probably has a ship that could probably go under there.
Would have a ship. That's true.
Yeah, I'd love to see Batman go under there. What film of 2018 did you enjoy the most? Would you say that would be Aquaman? Where would you rank it in the movies that you've seen?
So I see movies probably twice a week because I have a movie pass. So I see a lot of movies. And I would say Aquaman may be in my top 5.
Nice.
I thought Creed was really good too. Creed 2, the second Creed.
Yeah, I loved that movie.
That just inspired me, and that was just such a positive movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would say The Green Book. I saw this movie called The Green Book, which was very good. It was sad, but it was a good story.
Yeah, I've been meaning to see that too. I haven't seen it yet, but that does look like a good movie. Were there others you were going to mention?
No, not that off the top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah, but Aquaman definitely be in my top 5 too. I mean, Incredibles 2 I think was the movie I enjoyed the most of 2018 because they really made it work after such a long time. I enjoyed Avengers: Infinity War. Obviously, I'm a huge MCU aficionado, and I loved Creed 2. My whole family and I, we love the Creed films because my parents grew up with the Rocky films, so
nice.
we really liked it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and while we're on the subject of Creed 2, I just have to put it in there that I think I enjoyed it more than the first Creed. And while I love the first Creed, they took it in new directions, which was cool. But it was missing, some kind of connection, to the Rocky series. And Adonis Creed, he's Apollo Creed's son. And we need that kind of an important of a connection. And now in this new one, he's got to fight the son of the man, who killed his father. And I felt the return, to that connection really made it powerful. And that's why I liked it a lot more, which goes against the critics and fans' opinion. but it was just so powerful how Adonis and Rocky have to help each other. A lot of powerful scenes. And Michael B. Jordan, he's just a fantastic actor.
He's a great actor. Yes, he's very talented.
Yeah, he really is. But yeah, we've had some good movies overall, and it's been really nice. Aquaman's been very cool. And the other thing is, even though I enjoyed the movie a lot, but I'm almost convinced that I really enjoy the movie because I'm just a sucker for aquatic aesthetics. If there's anything island or water related, I'm just immediately going to be sucked into it. And believe me, I follow tourist destinations on social media. I follow Margaritaville on Facebook. So that a kind of fundamental connection is important in film. I feel like we all have some kind of fundamental connection. And I kind of felt that with Aquaman. Would you say that you feel something like that?
Mine is more so with space.
Oh, no. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm obsessed with space. I'm just obsessed with the unknown. So I guess that works with the aquatic to the water because there's so much that you just don't know. But that's just That's just my thing, the unknown.
Yeah, and legend says that, Atlantis once existed and, we never found it. So that is something unknown. And, we may never find Atlantis. It's probably all disintegrated into the ocean, but still that belief in the unknown lies. And that's definitely what, makes this film powerful. But yeah, they really brought it to life. The direction of the movie, was really nice. It was really still. There weren't a lot of close-ups. There were a lot of wide shots that, focused on the beauty of the landscapes, and the sets. The sets were pretty realistic too. I love the scene where it's like with Willem Dafoe underwater, like on inside an old ship. You could tell how real that was. That looked pretty real.
It did look real.
It was really beautiful. A lot of critics say that the movie was too long as well, but I think that's unfair to say because I think it needed to be loaded with all that energy. It's a story that really made it work. But what do you take away from the movie? What's your overall opinion of it? What impresses you most?
What impresses me most probably would be how they were able to tie everything in. How they were able to make things so realistic.
Yeah.
Because that was the biggest thing that I thought was going to be a problem, was making these water creatures just so fake looking. And I thought they just did so well with making it look realistic. And life underwater is so realistic. By the end of the movie, I thought that was a real place under the water. I was convinced.
Yeah, I was convinced too. They made the underwater scenes look so realistic.
Yes.
And when they weren't in the water, it was super realistic. You
Yeah.
know, the iconic scene where he comes out of the waterfall with, the trident. The reason it feels so triumphant and energetic is because of how real it looks. It could be a real waterfall for all we know. There are destinations in the world where
That's
you can
very
do
true.
that. But yeah, I loved Aquaman, and like I said, I can't wait to see more, and I was just so super impressed by it. I thought the way the movie closed was brilliant too. Aquaman's, closing dialogue, I am the protector of the deep, and believe me, Takora, I watch so many movies, and ever so rarely do I feel so motivated and, somewhat inspired in a triumphant fashion. But during that closing scene where Aquaman's reciting all that, family-related dialogue and what they made him, where he jumps up through the water, that scene almost made me really want to cry because it was just it was so brilliantly positive. And I can't remember any other movie where the ending just left you so worked up. Do you have any memories of any films like that?
I don't know. I go back to Creed 2 just because I was just so impressed with the film and just so motivated throughout the entire film. I would say Creed and Aquaman both do a good job of that, of leaving you just this feeling inside of you, you can do it almost. With Aquaman, I felt like that. He was the bastard child, the one no one thought would be anything. And he legit proved everyone wrong.
Yeah, that's a great point you made there, and I think we need a little bit more of that, positivity in film. For so many years, throughout the '90s and the 2000s, there were a lot of, there was a lot of negative stuff, not a lot of, happiness and inspiration in film. I know, right? The 2000s, I don't recall anything other than Star Wars and Spider-Man. Those were the only inspirational things out there. Oh, and of course Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter definitely.
That's all there was in the 2000s. But still, I like this whole return, to superheroes and family and things that inspire you. And Creed 2 was right along the lines of, family and inspiration. And that kind of worked me up in a sense, too. I could feel the emotion, and I really, love that about Aquaman. And I hope they could continue that in an Aquaman sequel, but would there be more to continue on? I mean, everybody's all happy now. I'm just worried that they'd lose it in the sequel.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point because, what do you do next? Do you add more destruction? Do you focus more on happiness? Because, in reality, no one really goes to pay to just see the happy moments. They want to see the downfall. They want to see it all work up together. They want to see the climax. So they're going to have to find a way to make things rocky again.
Yeah, they definitely do have to make things rocky again. And maybe the brother could use a little more backstory in this case. He's got to mend that relationship and newer characters as well. I don't know how many more family characters they can fit into it. But, I definitely, like to see something. And But yeah, I just enjoyed Aquaman immensely. Did not think I'd be adding it in my top 5 of the year. I'm really impressed by it. And, it's been a month now. We're at 4 or 5 weeks. There's still many showtimes available because of the $1 billion streak, and it's just so impressive. And I gotta admit, I almost did not do this podcast on Aquaman because I thought, it's gonna be old news.
Yeah.
But, I love how a movie is not, old news for a while. I can't remember the last movie that was like that, but it's pretty impressive. I loved the movie. It was great. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Takora, thank you so much for coming on. I really had fun discussing this movie, and thank you again. It's been great.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Once again, I'm Alan Hills, and this has been Cutting to the Chase. Thank you for listening, and be sure to tune in next week.